Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music. Last week we looked at using quartal chords, chords built in stacks of fourths in modes, in the Dorian mode specifically. And honestly, it's just beautiful in that context. Fourths are especially suited to the ambiguous quality of modal improvisation and composition, but they're also useful in conventional harmonic progressions. You have to be a little more careful, but that's what I want to look at today. Quartal chords in diatonic harmony. Well, first, if this is the second or third video of mine you've seen and you're getting something out of this channel and you haven't subscribed, please do. Now's the time to do it. It's easy enough. Just click that button. We're doing lots of videos here. And this channel, I think I'm really trying to build a community of composers, producers, arrangers who are interested in acquiring a good foundation in music theory, perhaps not an academic foundation, but something that's useful to you. Something that you can bring into your own work to expand the ideas that you already have, maybe even give names to stuff you're already doing so that you can move forward and build better compositions. It's all I really care about. And I think it's possible. I do. I think this is music theory for everyone. That's what I'm hoping. Listen to this. We were talking last week about modal harmony in fourths. Right? So that was like a very D Dorian sound. Let me actually put this up on the screen so that it's easier to view. There's my D in the bass. And I have a simple pathway for making these sets of fourths. I'm going to follow the G pentatonic scale. I'll tell you what, it's just a powerful sound, and I'm just using white keys, and of course we can slip things around. D, slip, so pretty. D, slip, starting a half step above and dropping down. This is wonderful for modal writing, and especially the Dorian mode. But what if I have a chord progression, a conventional chord progression that goes like 3, 6, 2, 5, or even just a dominant to tonic relationship? How can I use quartal chords to color that chord progression? Okay, quick review. So if I have a standard 2, 5, 1, here's D minor 7, here's G7, here's C. The important notes in that progression are the thirds and the sevenths. In other words, in the D chord, we have the third and the seventh. In the G chord, we have the third and the seventh. And in the C chord, I didn't even play the seventh, we have the third and the seventh would be here. So the thirds and sevenths tell us everything we need to know about the chord, and that's my big tip-off about how I'm going to use quartal chords in conventional diatonic harmony. I need those stacks of fourths to touch on those notes. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. So here's my 2-chord D, and I have a third and a seventh, and you notice they're a fourth apart. I'm going to add the 11th underneath it. This is D minor 11, and it works just like a 2-chord. It's a beautiful effect, too. I could actually go up a step, and I would get just a very plain-sounding D sus4. It doesn't have the same energy, does it? But this has a third and a seventh. Well, you've probably been thinking to yourself, what about the dominant chord? Because the dominant chord has to have, here's my G, a third and a seventh, and those two notes are a tritone. It's not a fourth. And I think we just have to stretch our conception of what a fourth stack is in order to accommodate. So I'm going to say that this is my stack of fourths for the G7. So now I've got D minor 11, G7. Did you see this? A stack of fourths. C major, 9, and the 6th or the 13th, depending on how you think about it. This is a beautiful sound with a G in the bass. It's also a beautiful sound with a D in the bass. This is a beautiful sound with an E flat in the bass. Because of the way fourth chords work, you're going to have a lot more flexibility in how you voice these chords. Did you see what I did? My D minor 11, G7 or G13, C6, 9 can become something really quite unique by rethinking roots here. E flat in the bass of the first chord. How about D flat in the bass of the second chord? And then I'm going to put G in the bass of the last one. Oh, it says G6-9, but really it's C6-9. The computer is confused about what it actually is, but I'm perfectly happy with that. The stacks of fourths have to acknowledge that the thirds and the sevenths are the engine tones, the energy tones of the conventional chord progression. So how would this work in a song format, a pop song format? I think it's a little bit trickier because the nature of fourth chords is ambiguous, and the colors aren't strong in the way that we expect conventional chord motion to move. But it can be great for string writing, for horn writing, etc. So let's come up with a simple conventional progression and see how that might work for us. What do you say we do this? We'll go C, E minor, A minor, F. All right, let's see if we can make this work. Now, we know that for a major triad, there are 5 locations that might work for us, right, as bass notes for our stack of fourths. I think actually there's only 4, and I'll show you why. We were talking about how the pentatonic scale, a fifth above, might work, but here's my problem with the pentatonic scale, a fifth above, for this C major chord. If I go stack of fourths, I get an F, which, you just don't want to have in your pop song. So here's my first possibility. Stack of fourths built on the 6th. And then the second possibility, stack of fourths built on the 7th. And this is a beauty. 7th, 3rd, 13th, or 6th. And then we have a stack of fourths built on the 9th. That's gorgeous, great for strings. And then we have a stack of fourths built on the 3rd. So if I'm going to take an inventory, C major, stack of fourths built on the 6th, stack of fourths built on the 7th, 9th, 3rd. All of these will work. Oh, well, that's quite lovely. Okay, I like that sound, but we need to make the chord progression work. The next chord was E minor. And this is a little bit tricky because we want to kind of stay in a basic C major scale because it's a pop song. So I'm going to ask myself about the fourths that might work. Well, the F, again, does not work. So the G is out. The 3rd is out. But I'll tell you what, I don't mind this one, E minor 11, although it's a little bit weirdly ambiguous. This is also E minor 11. This kind of works. This kind of works. So it's a little bit tricky, this E minor chord, isn't it? Let's see if we can make it work with my progression, though. C, E minor 11. Time for A minor, I'm going to go to A minor 11. Time for F, I can stay right here. Well, this is pretty. C, E minor, A minor 11, F. Ooh, see how this doesn't work? It's kind of okay. And C again. E minor, A minor, F. Okay, I've got something I like. And you've probably noticed it's pretty pentatonic sounding, isn't it? And open and beautiful. These stacks of fourths show up in the piano pop stylings of the great songwriter Joni Mitchell. You'll often hear her playing quartal chords, and I think it has to do with a kind of an open, transparent sound that, I mean, if you think about the mountain dulcimer strumming that she used on a couple of the early albums and stuff, it does make sense, doesn't it? They also sound great on electric pianos, strings, horns. There's something really powerful and beautiful about using, instead of thirds voicings, quartal voicings, because they slip and move freely around the scale that you're in. They can create a sense of a secondary melody or just a little more propulsive energy. They'll always suggest melody and give you a rhythmic identity. And I personally kind of love them. You've got to adjust your ear to the sound of them. I will say that. That's probably the single most important thing. And in order to make that happen, you've just got to try it out. Now, guitarists have a giant advantage, and you've probably thought about this if you're a guitarist. Your instrument is tuned mostly in fourths. You've got to know the names of those notes as you fret across the neck, right? Not that hard to figure out, though. I think you can do it. And what that means is there may be a simple shape that moving around the neck, just grab the shape and slip it around, you can create interesting new voicings for chord progressions that you think you understand perfectly. Very powerful technique. Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe and ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.